Hi guys, James at Goddard Radio Moscow Beer and Metal Reviews again for you today with another beer review. I'm still reporting to you from Auckland in New Zealand, but for this one we're going to go back once again to Australia. And this was a beer that I actually thought was from Queensland, but then on taking it home from the shop I actually realised that it was from Victoria, but it's still meant to be a very good beer nonetheless. So for this one we're going to go to the Holgate Brewhouse and have a taste of their Hopinator beer, and this guy is an American double IPA. And these guys, they're meant to be a very kind of hop forward brewery, so I always like breweries that do that, and I do like the guys, I have to say I do like the guys that do the malt forward beers with their dark ones too, but this should be another very good one for me to review. So as is usual then with my reviews, I'll take you through a very kind of short history of the brewery, just fast forward to the tasting if that's the part you want to see, but the history will be very short. The brewery website's in the video description for you below, along with a link to my other reviews that I will hopefully get to do from these guys in the future. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about this brewery. The Holgate Brewhouse is based in Woodend, Victoria, which is a small town between Bendigo and Melbourne. The company was founded by Paul, who's from England, and Natasha, who has Sri Lankan heritage. And these guys met at university, and they'd both previously worked in science for multinational companies, but they decided to found their own business, and they both have a love of food and drink, and they brought this into their new business, which was inspired by a trip to America where they discovered the thriving craft beer industry over there. But the brewery began operations in 1999 in their back garden, where they had juggled, and they actually juggled in the early days between deliveries, brewing and other full-time jobs that they were doing. But they took over the old commercial hotel in 2002, which became the new home for their brewing, and this then became the Keatings Hotel and now the Holgate Hotel, which now includes a restaurant, brewery and bar, and they're also planning to expand their current brewery out the back as well. Apparently they've got quite a big bit of land there, so hopefully you will actually see this beer being exported throughout the world. I'm not sure kind of how easy it is to get here in New Zealand. I brought this one on the plane with me, but I'm assured that it is quite easy to get throughout Australia, so hopefully we'll see these guys expanding a little bit into Europe and America and stuff like that, but that's in the future, so we'll wait to see. So to tell you a few of the other beers you can get from these guys, you can get the Mount Macedon Pale Ale, which is very local to them in Holgate. You can get the Road Trip, the ESB Extra Special Bitter, Temptress Pilsner, and this guy here, the Hopinator, which as I said is a double American IPA, and they also have a special reserve range as well. So without further ado, let's get on to the tasting part of this beer then. I always like doing this bit of the review, as I'm sure you can understand. To tell you a little bit about this beer itself, it's a 7% American double IPA, and it uses American Chinook, Centennial and Citra hops, so a very interesting breed there. And it also uses Australian Topaz as well, and it uses a base of caramel malt. So I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little quick look at the artwork on this guy. They've just changed their artwork recently, but I think this is very nicely presented. It's nice and fresh. You can just see the bottle sweating a bit because it's quite warm in here. You can see it gives you a little bit of information on the back, and you can see, I think that's, I'm not sure if it's a bull or an ox or what exactly it's meant to be, but you can see that is the Holgate's company. I'm not sure if Holgate is actually maybe a breed of cow or something as well, but because they have all these different cows out here in Australia and New Zealand. But anyway, it says on the side, big, bold and bitter, this independent American thumbs its nose at tradition and challenges true beer lovers to hop up. Let your taste buds know who's the boss. We make it ourselves, microbrewed from authentic natural ingredients, uncompromising craft beer, bold and brimming with character, family owned, 100% independent. Original gravity is 1.067, IBUs of 80, EBC, which I'm not sure what that is, and that is 27. And it tells you the hops as well, brewed at Holgate, Woodend, Victoria, Australia. So without further ado then, let's get on with the tasting of this guy. Nice opening on the bottle there, as you can see, nice big bubble, a little bit of foam coming out. And it's pouring a nice, really kind of dark, really dark, rich amber colour, which is what you want usually from a double IPA, but of course the colour doesn't particularly matter as long as it tastes nice, and yeah, that's really what you want. But as you can see, a nice kind of coppery, rich orange amber. If I put my fingers behind that, you can't really see it, not very transparent, has maybe about a half or 3/4 finger of a frothy, slightly off-white head, I would say. There's a good bit of carbonation, mainly small bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head, but some big bubbles sticking to the side of the glass. And as you open this, you will actually smell the caramel malts coming off this, and just a little bit of that kind of grapefruit in there, I would say. Yeah, on the nose, it's actually a bit milder on the nose than some of the ones I've come across. But yeah, it's got a nice kind of buttery and caramel underline actually. But there's a big bit, there is a good bit of kind of resiny, piney notes in there, but I would say that it's more rounded rather than sharp, if that makes sense. It comes in at the back of the nose, which is quite interesting. And there's definitely a grassy and floral element in the hops there. It's not one of the more kind of punchy, fruity aromas that you'll get from some of these types of beers. You can't really pick up too much on grapefruit in this one, which is, if I remember rightly, is what you would expect from a kind of Chinook hop. You expect somewhere in the middle between grapefruit and kind of an orangey citrus. But there is more of a, I would say there's an orangey citrus definitely in this one. Maybe a little bit of lemon too, but I think the most prominent aroma from the hops in this guy is the grass and the sort of the grass and florally aromatic character. But as I always say with my beers, just take a little bit of time when you take these guys in and just enjoy the aroma, because it does actually, it's quite interesting to compare the aroma to the taste, because you do get some kind of hidden elements in some of the flavours of these beers. But anyway, let's taste this guy. This is the Hopinator from Holgate Brewhouse. First thing you'll notice about this beer, it's got a big hop attack on it, definitely. Yeah, you'll notice that it's a big, florally aromatic hop character that comes out of this one. There's a nice sweet caramel base underlying there, and it just goes right down the middle of the tongue. Maybe even a little bit of a biscuity one in there. It's not the sweetest caramel malt base I've ever had from this style of beer, but it definitely has that nice little line there, that nice little kind of dark, maybe slightly, it's definitely got a sort of toasted element to it, that caramel base actually, but it's really nice the way it underlines, and then you've got this big floral and sort of floral aromatic-y character coming out. It's quite interesting because usually an American double IPA is a lot more fruity than this, but this one really goes for the floral and aromatic side, so it's a very interesting variant in that regard. Yeah, the pine resins, you'll find around the edge of the tongue, you do get a lot of pine resins coming out in this one as well. And that's right around the edge, but it's got a big floral aromatic, and the pine resins really come out as you take a few more sips of this beer. There is perhaps just a little bit of grapefruit underlying in there as well, but I would definitely say this really leans towards the floral aromatic and kind of pine resiny flavours, which is, as I said, it makes it a very interesting variant of the style, because usually they're quite fruity, the American ones. But yeah, big piney flavours. Into the aftertaste, you get the big kind of piney and resinous, slightly citrusy flavours with that grapefruit in there too coming out. It's, as I say, it's a really interesting take on it, and it's quite unusual in the fact because it's Australian. To my memory, I can't remember coming across an American double IPA that focuses really on that more floral and aromatic side of the beer, but it's very nice. I do like beers that have that nice big hop kick, and this guy definitely has it. The malt is a little bit more subdued, I would say. That kind of caramel malt base really gets overpowered a little bit by the hop, so it would be nice if the malt came out just a little bit more, but I really am enjoying, I like a big floral aromatic beer. Usually the golden ales are like that, but this is a really interesting one. The flavours actually mix very well together, I would say that about it too. It's got that nice punchy hop kick, but you have that kind of slightly, the nice kind of roasted caramel malt base under there that's just mild, but you know it's there, so it blends together very well. And I'd even be tempted with this guy to say it's a little bit spicy as well. There's a little bit of spice that comes out in the middle of the tongue and the aftertaste, so maybe there's a teeny little bit of cereal in there, but it could also be from the aromatic hops too. But it's a very interesting beer, so definitely give it a go. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd definitely say it's mid-bodied, maybe even pushing the kind of full-bodied one. It's not that oily, it is more of a kind of carbonated beer, this one. You can get the carbonation in it, but that helps bring out the floral and aromatic flavours that are quite prominent in this beer, I would say. There is a little bit of alcohol warmth too, but it's nice and smooth, I would say too. The carbonation kind of smooths it out a bit. And it is a little bit heavy, but the bitter character and the dryness in this one is huge. You get that right around the edge of the tongue, but it's a very, very nice beer. So overall, I'd say it's the mouthfeel they've got for this one is perfect. The flavours blend together very, very well, which makes it interesting. As I've said a couple of times, it's more of a floral aromatic American double IPA, which makes it quite an interesting variant. So it's definitely one you want to try, and I was told that in the shop by the guy at Brisbane Central Station that this one was a very, very hoppy beer, and it certainly is that. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Please let me know, as always, in the comments section below your own thoughts on this beer. I've quite enjoyed this one, so I'm going to go away and sit on the deck and enjoy the rest of it. But I hope you're still enjoying my series of beer reviews, and I hope you've enjoyed the Kiwi ones that I've put up as well just before this. But thanks again for watching, and I will catch you soon with the next in my series of reviews. Cheers!